Interesting. Set that to all messages and get the fuck out of here. What's going on, people? Welcome to my live stream. Guess who's going through the largest psychological operation in the history of the world? It's ridiculous how much deception is going on in the world. I'll wait a minute until people come in. I'll talk about things that it should be okay to talk about. You know, Jesus gave us a great stern warning. The very first thing he said when he began to expound on the signs to look for before the end of the world and his return was, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And that's what we have going on right now. We have many coming in the name of Jesus Christ and deceiving many. And they're not saying I am Christ per se, but they are saying I am Christ of Janus. That's what Christian means. I am Christian, Christianos, which is a compound word coming from two root words, Christos, meaning Christ, and Ianos, which is Janus proper, the Roman god of new beginnings and final endings. Hey, good morning, Murat. Welcome to the live stream. And so it's imperative that we be not deceived in these last days, because deception abounds. And a lot of people want to think that they have these philosophies that they've been fed. Well, we can agree to disagree. And it's like, wait a minute, you're not agreeing if you're disagreeing. It's an oxymoron. Agree to disagree. And then another thing that they like to promote is, well, that's, hey, welcome, Cunis and Taz. Good to see you popping in here with your words. So another thing is they want people to respect someone else's opinion. Now, that's fine if you're talking about what flavor of food they like or what kind of, diet or drinks they like or something. But when it comes to something that's either, if it's subjectively disprovable or disproven, then it's no longer a matter of opinion, but it is a matter of whether you are, if you're believing the truth or not. And to respect somebody's opinion when they're believing something that's patently false and can be shown to be false, it's not respecting somebody's opinion, it's just allowing them to be in deception. And that's not a good thing if people are deceived. But here's the thing, we've all been deceived. To where, I'm headed off to work, Murat. We have all been deceived from the time we're born. They give us lies. Our parents were deceived and they lied to us. Some intentionally, some non-intentionally. They put us into they give us these little books and read us these little bedtime stories that talk about dinosaurs. Tens or no. That's actually not true. The word dinosaur didn't come up until the 1800s. It was invented in the 1800s, and prior to that, they were called dragons. They were creatures that existed on the earth with man. But that's that's just one more thing that can be patently proven to be untrue, and yet people want to say respect my opinion, and that's really where I was going with that. But our parents have been deceived, and sometimes they know better. They know there's no such thing as Santa Claus, but they're going to lie to their children. And they're going to say, oh, this big fat man in a red suit's going to come down the chimney in the middle of the night, twinkle his nose, and frickin' throw a whole bunch of presents under the tree. I found that out. I'll never forget. It was Christmas Eve, and my parents they told me, I was probably about 4. I think I was about 4 years old, maybe 5 at the time. And I believed the lies that they told me. I thought this magical creature dude was going to come down with gifts for me in the middle of the night. So she rushed me and my sister, and maybe my little sister off to bed, kissed us goodnight, tucked us in, and then left. And I snuck out of the bed, and I snuck around behind the couch, and I just waited because I was going to sneak up on Santa, right? And it wasn't long after I got behind the couch, I saw my mom and my stepdad putting these wrapped gifts under the tree. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're a little bit late to the show. Santa Claus is going to be coming. And I eventually fell asleep waiting for Santa Claus, and he never came. In the morning, I woke up all bright-eyed, rubbed my eyes and getting excited, went under the tree and started looking at all the presents, and all of those gifts that I saw my mom and stepdad put under the tree said, from Santa. And I remember I was so full of complete sorrow because I was waiting for the fat man in the red suit. I got to check the chat messages because they look like they... Hold on a second. Okay, I just wondered if it was freezing up. And then I found out, and then when we were opening the gifts in the morning, I remember looking and telling my mom, this wasn't from Santa Claus because it said Santa on top. I said, I saw you put this under the tree. And then she had this talk with me. Oh, yeah, like to blah, blah, blah. We just like to lie to our children. She made up some excuse to make it feel like it was, and I thought, when I had children, I became born again before I had kids. I found mercy. My mom taught me to be a liar. I was a liar. The world taught me to be a liar. I was a liar. There's so many lies in this world, so much deception, just like Jesus said there would be. When I found mercy, I found mercy. I was forgiven, and that's just so that I could be cleansed from that stuff, not so I could continue and wallow in the mire and the muck. So I determined at that point I would never intentionally lie to anybody ever. And that's to say intentionally because I'm sure I have things that I have been believing my whole life, and when I repeat a lie, it's a lie. Whether I do it on purpose or not, when you speak a lie, it's a lie. Hey, what's going on? Mia. And so I determined when my sons were real young, I said, I won't tell them, I'm not going to, me and my wife, hey, good morning, Huntington. Marie. So I determined from the time my sons were, from the time my firstborn was born, I wasn't going to do the Santa Claus lie. I wasn't going to do the Tooth Fairy lie. I wasn't going to do the Easter Bunny lie. All the lies that parents just love to tell their kids to flood their minds and hearts with all of the wonder of the mystical, magical bullshit. And that's what it is. And because I have a love for the truth, and I think it's important, and so there's always been a rule at my house: we don't lie around here. That's the rule. And whenever my sons did something wrong, if they lied about it, they got twice the punishment. Thankfully, they never did. They were straightforward because they knew they didn't want to get that whooping on their ass, and they didn't want it double. So when they're in trouble already, they know it's coming. And if they lie about it, and Dad seems to know when they're lying, boom, they'll get a second one. And so it was cool. I'm thankful I raised sons that have a love for the truth, and they're very straightforward and honest. Welcome, Owen. And my point is, we're literally living in so much deception. It is insane when you begin to learn the truth. And the people that do Murray, you're one that holds government accountable. You sit there and hold their feet to the fire, and God bless you for that, because what you're doing is you're showing forth the truth. And that is so rare in these days. And as you discover, people really don't want to know the truth. I'm sure you're having a great time with all of the people you speak with in Huntington Township. When you try to tell them where their taxpayers' money's going to. I'm sure the vast majority of them, really don't want to know. I mean, that they don't want to know. They prefer to just live in a delusion, thinking that everything's good, they're paying their taxes, they're going to, the taxes went up this year, blah, 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 not really caring what it's going for, and they don't want to know. But anyway, yeah, that's, it says there's only one person in here. I wonder who ditched me. Yeah, you start talking about things like Santa Claus, that could have been it too, but a lot of parents want to perpetuate the lies, and they don't want to think of them as lies. They want to think of them as childhood memories and just enjoyable, nostalgic things. And that's at the very foundation of it, you're lying to your children. And if you think about it, it's really the foundation of living in a life where we are literally bombarded and inundated with lies. Then they give us these ideas that we somehow were evolved from apes. Well, why are there still apes? Why are all of the fossils that we see, which were created during the flood of Noah, have creatures that are still around today? How come they didn't evolve? How come we don't have any, if they are, billions of years old of fossils? How come we don't have any transitional, creatures going from one kind of a creature to another? Why are they all, and when you start asking those questions, logic and reason and observational walleye in the fossil record then that looks the same as the walleye of today. There's frogs in the fossil record then, and that look the same as the frogs today. And so we're handed, my whole point was, we're handed a whole bunch of lies, and they just compound on top of each other. I guess that one person here is me. People are commented to work. Oh, commuting to work. Yeah. That could be all of a sudden there's like, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, now it says there's like 4 people. People come and go, but when it went live this morning, for 2 minutes and 30 seconds into a live stream is when I'm either going to get a bunch of people come in or nobody comes in. And I don't know why it's the 2:30. I have a timer on my right up here where you can't see it, but I can. It tells me how long I've been live streaming. And at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, without fail, there's like, that's when I either get put into and I don't even think, it's not the mainstream. It is an offshoot, kind of like a small little trickle of a creek where, I'll have 12 to 25 people come in, and then they fall out, because as soon as they hear me talking about the things I talk about, they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to listen to this guy. And it's sad. But I just got to meet my niece's husband for the first time. We didn't talk for 15 years, my niece and I, because her mother lied to her saying that I had abused my ex-wife. And she believed it, but then she really got to thinking about it over the years. She's like, Uncle Scott was pretty fun. He was always nice, kind to people. He just didn't seem like that kind of a person. And then she became born again, and the Lord put it on her heart to reach out to me. And so we began talking, and she was so sad that she believed her mom, because her mom is a perpetual liar. But my point is, I met her husband, and he is one that has discovered many of the conspiracy of this world. I'm not getting notifications. Yeah, they turned it off. I actually just uploaded a video of Donald Trump saying that Operation Warp Speed was the greatest accomplishment of any president in the history of the United States. And it's like, okay. And that one didn't go into anyone's, well, as far as I know, it didn't go into anyone's subscription feed. I have another account that I use to be like a moderator on this account so I can see people's channels. And I've also subscribed to this channel with the other account. It didn't show up in the subscription feed at all. Like, I went through the shorts and boom, it wasn't there. So that's kind of the way big tech is when you got somebody like myself that has searched matters out, and I published some of the criminal conspiracies that actually take place between industry monopolists and government. The big tech companies kind of squash me with the algorithms, which, hey, I figure whatever, God's going to put people in here that he wants to come in here, and he's going to break through the algorithms. And it's probably a good thing, because I go on to live streams sometimes, and I see these people that have over 100 or sometimes even over 1,000 people in their stream, and the chat is moving so fast, people can't engage with them, with the people. Hey, welcome, Song. Man, people who look like you, no, people that look like me don't have 1,000 tattoos, because I don't have any. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm guessing that was an attempt to just troll, but that's cool. You're welcome. Welcome to be here. I'll go to your channel and look what I've missed. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't censor people from here. You can troll, you can say whatever you want. People come in here all the time. I get all kinds of, haters and fans. But my point is, I like to engage with people, so it kind of is a good thing that I am being suppressed, that I don't have 100 or 500 or 1,000 people coming in, because then I can engage one-on-one with people, Even the trolls. Man, trolls need to be fed too. No, but so I don't know. That's all I had to say about that. But I guess my whole point of the stream, just driving this morning, was thinking about how much we're being deceived on. From the time we're born, we're injected with aluminum filled vaccines, and they've been putting aluminum as an adjuvant in the vaccines ever since we were alive, from the time we were born. And aluminum is a neurotoxin that actually breaks through the blood-brain barrier and disrupts the firing of the neurons. And that's why we have Alzheimer's, and that's why we have dementia, and that's why we have these neurological disorders and people that are just not right with their brains, because they've been poisoned with aluminum and other heavy metals. Do you think America isn't as bad as other countries? Well, okay, so Ben, that's Bert. That's a really good question. I'm going to say America is probably more wicked. Now, bad, I'm sure that's a very broad term, and you're probably thinking about something else. So let me read this real quick. In the United Kingdom, they have, hold on, I almost, grooming gangs, and the government does nothing about it. Yeah, it doesn't pay that kind of crime. Doesn't pay dead tissue, fetus. Yeah, dead tissue. They have, and that I've seen depositions where vaccine engineers had to confess that there were fetal cell in the United Kingdom. Freedom of speech doesn't exist. You can get arrested for criticizing. Oh, same thing here. In fact, YouTube's full of it. There's a lot of people that are doing the pushbacks with, First Amendment audits, and it's not just recording people, but it's also saying, going out holding signs or cussing and yelling at cops, doing whatever they can with the. I think I would rather deal with the aluminum than being places like the United Kingdom or South Africa or China or Gaza, because they have a nutrient deficiency can lead to problems with Alzheimer's and dementia. Do you feel there will be a lockdown soon in the future? Yes, actually there is going to be. There's going to be a major state of emergency in this country, like there's never has been before. We're going to be invaded, and the government of the United States is going to open the doors to allow the invasion, and it's going to come from within and from without. There won't, they've been flooding this country with all sorts of immigrants on the books that are basically walking around in society waiting for the opportunity, the time to bring it down. But yes, this nation is going to be basically locked down, and it's going to be in a state of emergency such as we have never even heard of in this country before. And right now, the powers that are in control, the bankers, they have a plan. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's a good idea, first and foremost, to seek the Lord God and find mercy for your sins, because we are going to, and what's going to happen in this country is most likely the thing that's going to kick off the requirement that everybody has an individual identification securely identified through the government, which is the beast system. And you're not going to be able to buy or sell without the mark, the name, or the number of this beast. And they're gonna take away pretty much most of your liberties, because they're going to attach to your money. You're not going to be able to buy or sell. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty bad situation. But is America as bad as other countries? That's a really broad term. I would have to say, as far as good or bad, being good or evil, the nations of the world are corrupted. The United States of America has exported more wickedness and satanic evil into nations around the world. I think the United States is probably worse than most countries. But as far as creature comforts and extended, leashes is what I call them, because we're not free. We don't have freedom here. We have chains and leashes, and we're limited on how much we can do. You think Trump is I don't know. Hey Fifi, hope you're well. You too. Busy with school. Oh, okay. Hey Bert, hold on. If the UK becomes a Muslim country, will you consider them allies of America? I don't. They're going to be allies of the government, but my heart is for people no matter where they're at. I don't look at the world stage like the two-party, the Grand Theater. We're taught that we're enemies, or the United States is enemies with Iran, and we've got a teetering relationship with Saudi Arabia and all that, all of the nations are working together for the same bankers. The same bankers that control the central banks of every nation in the world that does international trade are the ones that are literally creating the script that they're feeding the people to think that, oh, we got to stop Iran, or oh yeah, Hamas is attacking Israel. They're all involved in it, and it's big money. War's a racket. Smedley Butler wrote a book right after World War One, and that's something a lot of people will know. Every single war the United States has been involved in, ever since the signing of the Federal Reserve Act, has been based off of false pretenses. And the bankers are the ones that are controlling the narrative. And the United States has been used to invade other lands, kill the people that resist, and set up central banks. And that's really the main thing. But anyhow, I'm going to go live again later. But right now, I got to get going. I've got an estimate I need to give up here. So we'll talk to you later. Peace.